You are listening to Apex One Radio. Stay with us for the best bet in the new wave of communication. Apex One Radio. Get informed, enjoy, and learn.
Welcome to Apex Snapshot. In this edition, we take a look at the educational and career situation of youths who either relocated from their countries of origin to the Western world, or better still, those of them born by parents who migrated. From an initial standpoint, it may seem as if their situation vis-à-vis education and career choice is the same as the natural citizens of these host countries, especially when these migrant kids go by the status of citizen. But from a critical look of things, it is not the case. It goes without saying that migrant children, no matter how long they've lived in their host country, and no matter how familiar they are with socioeconomic and cultural aspects such as language, lifestyle, financial stability of their families, academic prowess, and what have you, they still face a number of challenges that retard their progress in certain key areas of life. And even when these children display a reasonable amount of excellence in certain noble professional domains, a good number of them have hardly ever enjoyed a smooth rise on the socio-professional ladder for reasons that have commonly been linked to natural backgrounds. Consequently, and in the past, migrant youths always ended up revolving around less lucrative and non-dignifying professional domains that constantly kept them at the foot of the social ladder. Fortunately, as years went by, eyes began to open, perceptions began to change, visions and ambitions began to crop up, and determination to set new standards grew from leaps and bounds. It soon dawned on migrants that with a little more effort, new grounds could be broken that could lead to a more comfortable educational and career situation of their children. These children needed more empowerment, even if it meant just at the level of making reasonable choices. And so, questions like, does what you study have a toll on your future career life in the diaspora? Does your career field enable you to grow socioeconomically? Can others' experiences help shape your future? Started cropping up. One of those who had these questions hovering in their mind is Miranda OBEN, a Cameroonian intellectual living in Germany. Also a conference organizer and moderator, Miranda, who is trilingual and would speak English, French, and German fluently, sought to find answers to these questions by bringing the concerned, that is, migrant kids on board. That quest for lasting solutions in this issue saw the birth of an annual youth career conference dubbed Our Kids and Their Future, whose maiden edition took place last year in the city of Essen in Germany. On July 4 this year, the second edition will be held in the city of Dortmund and is expected to bring together migrant kids, their parents, education and career experts, and members of the Cameroonian diplomatic mission in Germany. As preparations for this year's edition intensify, Apex Snapshot talked to the organizer of Our Kids and Their Future too. Miranda OBEN was accompanied by the communication lead of the conference, Elise Petiu. Hear them.
It's the Sea Boys. This is a special dedication to any kid that's an orphan, to any kid in a broken home, and everyone in pain. It's the middle of the winter and I'm so cold I could barely feel my fingers and I'm just trying to take the bus to my friend's house. Or is that too much to ask? Mom and Dad up in heaven, so I know they're looking over me. Every day I wake up hoping I don't have to move again to another foster home. My name is Natalie, this is my life, and I hope one day to see the light. I just wanna be loved, I just wanna have somebody. I don't wanna be alone, tell me if you'll be there for me. When your world come crumbling down, and you can't really make a sound, and all they do is try to break you, but you never let them take you. Sometimes I wonder if they really feel my pain. Tell me if you feel.
Okay, that beautiful tune there by Sea Boys titled Feel My Pain takes us to Germany, where we have two very special guests in this edition of the show. They will be speaking from Germany, like I said, Miranda OBEN and Elise. Okay, they will be talking about our kids and their future, and I will just let you discover when our guests come on board. So let's go to Germany and find out if they are already with us. Good afternoon, Mira and Elise.
Good afternoon, Ernest.
How are you people doing?
Oh, well, I'm fine. I don't know about Elise, but I'm doing great.
I'm also doing great. Thanks for asking.
Right. So, from what part of Germany are you speaking, Mira?
Well, I am in the south of Germany, in the city of Nuremberg.
Okay. So,
Alright.
how is it over there today?
Well, beautiful weather, not too hot because the weekend was terribly hot. We had a nice time, but a little bit too much sun. But today's just mild weather, and I think it's a good day today.
Mild weather from Mira's end of Germany. What about you, Elise?
For me, it's okay. It's really sunny today. We have a nice time. The weekend was also okay, and that's how Germany is, with much sun, but a little bit windy as usual.
Right. Okay, so thank you very much, lady and gentlemen. Both of you are here to talk about our kids and their future. Okay, Mira, I know that this is the second edition of this program, the maiden one held last year. Just to remind us, for the sake of our listeners who are coming across this for the first time, what is this initiative all about? Is it a workshop? Is it a conference? Is it a seminar? Just tell us.
Well, actually, thank you once more, Ernest, for having me on the show and having us on the show actually this year. It is indeed the second edition. And for the listeners who weren't here to hear what this initiative, or I call it sometimes this vision, is all about. It's a youth conference. It's a youth conference at which we target at having young panelists, so teenage panelists, actively take part and talk about their future, their future in the diaspora. So these are actually migrant kids. And last year we had the seminar, like you mentioned, the conference, I'll say again, in the city of Essen. And this year we're having it take place in the city of Dortmund. So we have young panelists discuss about their future, issues affecting them in the diaspora as migrants.
So just like last year, have the goals of this initiative changed from what we knew?
No, not at all. Not at all. They've instead been strengthened. And like I said last year, we want to focus on education. That's the main thing about this seminar. We're focusing on education. Education involves school and, of course, the upbringing of our kids.
Right.
So we intend with this event to build like a self-confident generation of migrant children, who are very, very successful in anything they decide to undertake tomorrow. So with support and involvement, of course, of their parents, because you can't talk about children without involving the parents.
Right.
You know, we want to give them a very solid foundation, these children, by listening to them. Let them, you know, talk to us about what they see, and we can pass on, advise them, and then, you know, inspire them through role models as well, and encourage them to love their roots and believe in themselves and their abilities. That's mainly the goal of this.
Right. So could you just remind us of the specific objectives of our kids and their future?
As of objectives, you know, what I realized, like I mentioned to a lot of parents, is instead of us always talking to the parents, you know, like I would come and meet a dad and a mom, and I'll be asking them questions about a teenage kid who is about 13, 14, like just getting to teenage. But then I realized you can actually talk to these children, them and them, but, you know, with their parents, the parents can support or depending on how children respond. But the target as the objective of this conference is to talk to these young children, to talk to them directly. And in the conference, you would actually have the audience ask questions actively to these children, which, you know, thought-provoking questions, which will have the children now respond and, you know, get inspired by the forum.
Now, Myra, under what theme is the second edition of Our Kids and Their Future placed?
Yeah. Good. That's actually a good question. I should have mentioned that. Yeah, the theme for this year is, like I'm saying, talk to these children. What are we talking to them about this year? We're still focusing on education. It's an integral part of the project. But then this year we want to start thinking about when do you really start thinking about your profession? When do you start choosing what you're going to be in future? So the theme is actually education, professions, and integration, you know, for the migrant families. And how much help as well we want to find out do they get from their parents in all this: education, professions, and integration. That's the main theme.
Education, professions, and did you say?
Integration.
Integration. Okay, that's fine. So who are you expecting to attend this year's edition?
Just like last year again, I'm basing on that and kind of broadening our perspective and other target groups. We'll have the children who are directly concerned. Those are the main people actually for the conference. It's a youth conference. We'll have accompanied by their parents. And then, of course, non-parents as well. Non-parents are welcome to be there, share, contribute, because tomorrow when you have your kid, the information you get from this conference will be vital. You will need it anytime, you know, in your life, put it that way. We're going to have experts as well from the educational field, and these experts will be guiding us through, you know, not making mistakes which we could have avoided. And of course, right, the patron of the event, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Cameroon to Germany, will be joining us again at this event. And of course, it's open to everybody. Anybody who can come and contribute to this topic is very much welcome to join us this year.
Okay, anybody who is ready to come and talk at Our Kids and Their Future is welcome to join Mira and Elise, and of course the entire team of this program. Okay, I'm going to turn to Elise now. Elise, once again, welcome.
Welcome. Thanks, Mr. Ernest.
Mm-hmm. So, how is choosing the right profession an important element in the career of migrant kids in Germany, and what are right professions in this context? Tell us.
So I first want to thank you for the question. And actually what I have to say is this is actually a general question. It doesn't go only for the migrant kids, because all kids have a very important role by choosing what they are to do in the future. And from what I can say, this really depends on the talent and the quality of the kids. I wouldn't say there's a particular profession to choose for this kid because he's a migrant, or this kid because he's living here or he's a German. So this depends now on the quality of the kids, the talents, and what they really want to and like to do in the future.
Okay, are there some particular fields that are better for migrants and some which are not, especially in the case of Germany?
Oh, as I said before, it's actually similar, you know, because this comes from the talent of the kid. There's no particular field for this actually, because, you know, kids, we are all equal, and say we have all different qualities and some also have same qualities. It depends on the training and what the kid really does, maybe at school or what. And actually, there's no particular thing to say of like particular field which are bad for some people or not. So what I have to say here is no, there's no particular field.
Okay, Elise, our assumption is that African parents in Germany are as busy as their counterparts in other parts of the world. I'm talking about the Western world. Now, since they must survive and pay bills, it means that they are always at work. They are very busy, and they will hardly have enough time for their children. So, do they still need to play this active role in the education of their kids when we know they really don't have that much time? Else, what inspired this as a topic to be discussed at our kids and their future this year?
Actually, I want to say, of course, our kids really need our support. As we say, our kids need our presence. That's to say, what we do for them, what we can help them do, and they need less of the present. Like when I say presents, I say gifts. Like maybe you can buy them iPads, all this stuff, because all kids really need education and get some knowledge from their parents. And actually, this can really be brought into our topic of discussion. In which way? Many parents really get mixed up with these two words, the presence and the present. That's to say the presence, what we can bring to them as knowledge, as understanding, the way of seeing life, the way of having a better way of understanding everything on life, as the present, which all the parents normally afford for the kids. That's to say, like to pay for their school, pay for your bags, for the dresses, all the nice things. Yeah. So that's exactly what I want to. That's what I want to spot out. If it's a really point to be discussed in our conference.
Right. Now, when I look at a rundown of the agenda, I see scholarships for deserving pupils as a prominent point. Now, could you just explain this?
So, first of all, I want to say we are very happy this year to have Mr. Afangwi Niba, who is actually working in an institution for scholarships. So, he's the one who have to come this year and speak and present to us this project. For now, I can't really say so much about this, and I think most of this will be learned just for the audience as for us during this conference on the 4th of July.
Right. Now, if I remember, understanding the German school system was a major topic discussed at this conference last year, and you're coming back to it this year. Is there any reason for that?
This topic of education is a very broad topic, and we can't say we will be dealing our project without talking about education, because this is part of our project. And we say this year to talk about, and this year we're trying to conquer a new city. That's to say, last year we're in Essen, this year we're in Dortmund. That means for sure we'll have new audience, new faces, new people who weren't there maybe last year and wish to get this knowledge. So we need much time to explain this, to explain how the German system works, and we hope we really we really help people by doing this. And as I said earlier, this question of the system, school system, is part of our project, so we can't do without it.
Right.
And just to add, like last year we had 2 social pedagogists who spoke about that, and this year we'll have to that a headmistress from a school who will be able to answer questions from the parents who really have some doubts in the school systems.
Okay, we'll come back to you, Elise. Time for us to move to Mira. Mira, are you still there?
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. I've been listening keenly.
Right. Now, Mira, you and I are going to talk about how the program this year looks like. But before we get there, I just want to ask this question. Why the choice of Dortmund in 2015?
Oh, that's a very good question because the resonance was really positive. As in, we had 3 cities request to host the event because we made it clear to them we've had this first Pioneer Edition in Essen, but then from the request and what we want to do is target different cities in Germany,
right.
And then when we leave the city, we hope that the people in there and the associations and the groups, the parents, the kids will act as multipliers in that city now. So we had a request from Dortmund last year, Berlin, and Stuttgart.
Right.
You know, Stuttgart kind of collaborated with Nuremberg as well to request. So we have 3 people channel in their request. And we in the organizing committee thought, we've just had it in Essen and the resonance is so good. If we immediately move out of the region, because Essen is not that, it's a little bit closer to Dortmund, it's a little bit closer to Essen than the other 2 cities that requested. Right. You know, Nuremberg is in the south, Berlin is more in the east. So we thought before moving it away from that region, which has welcomed this vision so well, we selected Dortmund now for the second edition. And of course, our partners on the ground were very convincing.
Right. Okay, so let us go back to the program. Could you just describe how it's going to look like this year?
Okay, I'll just take maybe 2 or 3 minutes to give you a rundown of what we envisage. We really plan to start at exactly 2 p.m. just like last year. We started on time and we plan to maintain that. That's another way of showing the kids that, hey, we are serious about what we're doing. You know, we started at 2 p.m. It's scheduled for 2 p.m. So at 2 p.m. exactly, we will have Medics, which is like the medical association here in Germany of Cameroonian and, of course, German doctors now, to talk to the audience, just to say, if we're describing professional organizations, we've targeted Medics and the engineers in Germany and a couple of fashion designers as well. So we're thinking about education, not only the way people believe that, you know, you need to be an engineer to be successful or a doctor, but we're looking at a fashion designer as well. So if a child chooses to become a fashion designer, there's someone there to talk to us about it, present the associations. And then we have someone from the city of Dortmund also there to talk to us. And so this is really a state institution. We're happy to listen to her. And then we have many other associations who are working hand in hand with us, who will be presenting from best practices, how migrant kids can better choose their professions or the right profession. You know, now depending, just like Elise said earlier on your skills, what skills do you have to be able to fit into what profession in future? And then we have now the panel, which is going to start at exactly 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. with these children, these 6 teenage panelists sitting on the panel with His Excellency the Ambassador and answering questions and discussing with the audience. And the topic will be the primary role of parents as first teachers in our upbringing and choosing our professions. The scholarship program you've already mentioned, and then the fact that we're going to have a school headmistress, Elise has already mentioned that. One other thing is to kind of have like a response to the panel of the kids. We've invited 5 other parents to also discuss with us. Now, this is to have an adult view of the same topic, which has been discussed with the kids, see how the input from the adults now is with relation to what the children would have said. Because what if the children say they're not getting enough help with their homework, for example? Now, this panel of 5 kids, which involves a teacher, a Cameroonian teacher who is in a high school here in Germany, the president of the African Verein, who is actually a German, but as close to a Cameroonian as possible, has quite a lot of trips in Cameroon. Also tell us about, you know, what challenges and opportunities are available when you're trying to choose a profession as a migrant in a new country. So sharing of best practices. And then what do we have? Of course, we'll have the arts corner where the children will present their work of art to the audience. And then we'll have a response message from the ambassador, because we have the Cameroonian ambassador very active here in Germany, like most of you have heard in other parts of the world. But then we're trying to hear how we can get other embassies and other ambassadors to also be a part of this vision, you know. So we're very happy actually this year to have the kids on the panel, not only Cameroonian kids. We'll have, for example, Tanzanian, Ghanaian, and Nigerian kids. That's just a little rundown of the program. But of course, it has to end with these children receiving certificates of participation to show that, well, at the age of 14 or 15 or 16, I was at a children's conference, and to shape my future, I had this discussion and I had this topic. Yeah, that's pretty much a rundown of what we have. And yeah.
Okay, Mira, permit me, let me prop in here. You are going to constitute a panel of 5 kids who will be answering questions from guests at the conference. What is the criteria for the selection of these kid panelists?
Oh, that's an awesome question. That's an awesome question. What happens is first of all, like we say, we're selecting these children with the permission from their parents. So we actually, through our communication channels, and Elise, of course, who is the communication lead with us here today, we send out emails requesting parents to suggest their kids to be on the panel. Now, when they suggest these kids or these young teenagers to be on the panel, then I take it upon myself as a coordinator, or let me put it, a host of the event, to talk to these kids in a short, first the parents accept, the permission from the parents is very important. And then I talk to the kids within about 5 minutes, depending on what questions I ask. I'm able to sense and feel how ready these children can be on a panel. It's pretty much like the adult panels as well, when you have to select who will sit on your panel depending on a topic. Right. So I talk now to these kids. There could be about 8 kids, and then I narrow it down to 5 depending on what they say. For the other kids, of course, they given other roles. Like there was a lady who suggested her kid who is 10, but I thought that was too young. So the child has a role now of writing a lovely, beautiful poem, which will be read during the conference. So that's pretty much how we in the team go to selecting the kids. First with the permission of the parents or whoever suggested the kids, and then talk to the kids and hear the way they respond.
Right. Myra and Elise, with your permission, let's have a little bit of music, just a few seconds here, then we'll be back with you. Just stay with me.
Hello, good people. My name is Kissy. I'm an African, but I won't tell you from which country I hail, precisely because I believe in African unity. Now, my friends call me Apex, and you may like to know why. Apex simply means top, and I associate myself with things at the top, just like the newest board in the media family called Apex One Radio. Apex One Radio is here with a new and greater vision, with a mission to transform perceptions through education, keep us abreast with happenings around the globe, viva succinct information, and keep our minds refreshed, viva entertainment. This mission will be accomplished through well-crafted shows that suit your taste, my taste, and their taste. Join Apex One Radio by simply pressing your fingers on www.epexoneradio.com and make your voice heard in its programs by dialing 614-525-9398. 614-525-9398. Apex One Radio. Listen, enjoy, and learn.
Okay, we are back with our guests speaking all the way from Germany, Miranda OBEN and Elise, organizers of Our Kids and Their Future. It is a conference that is coming up in Germany precisely on the 4th of July. It is the second edition of that great conference. Okay, Mira, are you back?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, Ernest.
Okay, thanks for accepting this radio talk. So, tell me, what innovations are you bringing into Our Kids and Their Future in this second edition?
Well, when it comes to innovations, I'll just make it 3 short things. The Arts Corner I mentioned when I was giving a rundown of the program, where we'll have the kids display, their work of arts, and it could be poetry, it could be paintings, anything creative with the hands. And then we have more nationalities which have joined us. Last year on the panel, we had those 5 kids, and they were all Cameroonian kids. This year, we've diversified, and we have kids, a kid from Tanzania, we have 3 from Nigeria, we have a Ghanaian kid, and a Cameroonian kid. So we have 4 nationalities represented on a panel of 6 kids this year. And the third thing, which is also innovative, is the state institution. In the city of Essen, we since it was so quick last year, within a month, we organized a pioneer edition, which was so highly acclaimed. This year, we had the time to apply to the state of Dortmund, and we have a representative sent from the state institution, which is really, really, really good. And so those are 3 innovations. Oh, yeah. what is actually not an innovation per se is the fact that we're very, very proud and happy to have won an award and an event at the end of May this year. You know, we won the excellence, the first prize in the excellence award at an event which is visited by about 6,000 people in the diaspora in Germany. So from last year, it was just a pioneer event. This year, it's an award-winning event. So for us, that's actually what we're taking with us this year.
Right. Okay. Congrats on that, Mira.
Thank you.
I would imagine that it requires a lot of ingenuity to bring kids, you know, from all over. I mean, in the presence of diplomatic missions out there in Germany, which means a lot of work must have been done. Now, tell me, what lessons did you learn from the first edition, which took place last year?
Yeah, like you've just mentioned, thanks for that question. The lessons learned, what was that? We're talking about migrant kids. We involved other nationalities in other aspects, but on that panel, we found the fact that we don't have other nationalities missing on that panel. In the hall, yes, it was international, but this year I would still say this award is thanks to the great team working on this. Elise, Delphine Mukete, Rosalind Dressman. I can't name everyone here. We have a great network working behind this vision, and the lesson we learned last year is bring in other people. Reach out, you know, be like that like we always say, be the role model, be an inspiration to others to join. One touching thing about it is last year people were always like, oh, when it's a conference, people are not interested. You know, Africans always prefer to go to parties than to go to conferences. But we had a massive turnout last year. You know, we had a massive turnout, which means it's the type of conference you put up that could have pulled the crowds. Right. And it just went to us to confirm. For us, it was actually a very nice lesson to take with us. Like, okay, sometimes you need to reach people at their point of need. It made the entire team very, very happy and very motivated and encouraged to work this year. Another thing which actually we realized is through the opinion poll, which we had in the hall with the audience, is we asked the question, would you as a parent send your child to your home country for secondary education? And we learned a very big lesson there. In a 50%, like kind of 50-50 response, it was interesting the reasons parents gave as to why they won't send their children to their home country for education. And on the other hand, you wouldn't believe as well how interesting it was to read about the parents who say, oh no, actually, I would prefer to send my children to my home country for education. So the reason why I wouldn't, as a parent, send my children to my home country for secondary school education versus the reasons why, yes, I will send my child there for secondary school education. That was a huge lesson. And a lot of people are interested in reading, you know, the feedback, the survey, which we had on short pieces of papers. And what else? And we kind of unconsciously got into a survey because, you know, like I said, parents suggest and children for us to have on the panel, teenagers. What we realized is about 1 out of 10 of the suggestions we get are girls. So we have statistics now showing that there are more girls than boys at that age, that teenage as well. And, you know, so it was quite interesting for us to have like 4 girls on the panel and just 1 boy. Right. And it's the same thing, pretty much the same thing we're getting this year. So unconsciously we got into a survey. So a lot of lessons, a lot of positivity, and yeah.
Right. So apart from the award you won at this year's edition of Challenge Cameroonese, what other feedback did you get from the public? What have people been telling you specifically?
Oh, Ernest, you won't believe, very positive. The one thing they said is one lady who came there, she said, oh, she's gone to a lot of conferences. She stood up to say that. But this conference has her going home with so much information.
Right.
She said information is so much wealth. She knows where to turn to if she has questions regarding, you know, her children's, because we discussed a lot of things about the children's welfare as well. So we got very positive feedback as to we went home with a wealth of information. And then the fact that we had these 3 cities request to host the next event, you know, at a pioneer event, for us, it was a fact that, you know, this is actually going in the right direction. And then, you know, the breakout sessions later on, the short interviews we had there with parents, they all spoke the same language. We need to have a follow-up of this event. Right. And the fact that we have people coming from every other part of Germany to be there, to talk about their children, it just showed us that this topic was really, the timing was right. The timing was right. Like one lady said, she's just like, this is just absolutely, things like this, you might have a vision, but if you don't have people joining on board to give you this positive feedback, you wouldn't know if it was really the right thing or not. So we actually, Elise and I were talking about it just yesterday. We're very, very happy about the positive feedback we've got so far and the request to always have this event.
Right. Okay, let me turn back to Elise. Gentlemen, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Okay, so who are the partners of the event this year, and how did you succeed to get them on board?
So actually, we have the African Ivory, which is led by Miss Mokete Delphine, and we also have the African Tide Union, that is by Miss Rosa Dressman. And as Mira just said, it was not really that difficult getting them on board because, first, she's very dynamic and she's also very convincing. Her way of speaking, I think you have noticed that just from today. So we just needed, and it was also from the right timing, as we said.
Right.
That's to say, many people had this idea. Many people have had this, were waiting for something like that. But the difference was nobody really opted to show up, to bring people up to this idea, to follow this. So that's why when we started, actually, we had many people following us. And just like in Essen this year in Dortmund, we have a representative from the city of Dortmund, which they sent to get people. And we also have many other cities waiting for us, like Berlin, like Stuttgart, and that's how it has been going.
Right. So it's a huge mobilization of people, and I would also imagine that it's also a huge mobilization of material and financial resources.
Yeah.
What are the challenges you have faced so far trying to put the edition of this year, in place?
So far, for the challenges we have faced, the first thing I can say is about the new audience. Because living from a city of Dortmund, of Essen, beg your pardon, and to go to Dortmund to get new people, like this, many of these people couldn't attend maybe for the first year because they really heard about it, or they were not so interested about it. And after that feedback, like they really got the feedback from the first event, and now many people are interested. And the difficulty we face now is to show them they have already placed the bar, to a certain height. And now many people expect from us to get this bar very high. And we like this fear of not reaching the expectations of everybody. And I hope that's a positive fear. And now we also had with the Innovation Corner. Luckily, we have hard-working brains to get these new ideas, just like the Art Corner.
Right.
Yeah, and we also get kids doing some poem, like self-made poem, not poem gotten from books or whatever. So we had this, and one thing we also had, like the difficulty was the role to play for the kids. We had so many kids postulating to get maybe a role in the panel, so many parents calling to give their children them to participate, but unfortunately everybody who could have this chance and getting placed into the panel and participating actively, even though they will be there and participating passively.
Mira, I would like you to come in here and explain something. I understand a lot of kids will be displaying artwork, poems like Elisa just said. Now, is there a follow-up, in rehearsing these kids for all of these activities? How does that work?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Like we try to say everywhere we go with this vision, right? We're saying we have these kids, but these kids are not like an island. These kids are guided by their parents. So that's why we're saying, talking about their future with the involvement of their parents. So everything I discuss with the kids is already something I have discussed with the parents. So I actually come from the adult, talk to the adult, and then take it down to the child. Okay. So you best know your child's skills and what she does best. What are her talents? So if I said, you're going to be there on that day. If there's a kid who is 14 and very bright at school, then I know, definitely, this is someone you want to get in touch with, the gentleman, Mr. Afanwi Niba, who is going to be talking to us about the scholarship programs. And on the other hand, if I'm just talking about writing a poem, there is a mom who knows that her kid is already doing things like that at home. So it's with the guidance of the parents that we have these poems or these creative, whatever they're going to present to us on that day. So that's kind of like the follow-up what we plan for the Arts Corner. And on the day itself, we have the Duchess Maureen Epier, who will be there on that day, taking the artwork from the kids, making sure pictures are taken, just so that we don't, kids from the age of 2, 7, or 2 all the way till 10, they also like to do things with their hands, right. But it's already our own way of bringing them onto this, because in 10 years they are the ones who will be on the panel. Right. So that's I hope I answered your question.
Definitely. Mira, what do you expect to achieve on the close of Saturday, the 4th of July?
Oh, that's a very good question. You have actually good questions, Ernest. Honestly. First of all, Elise mentioned something which struck me, the fact that people got the resonance, the feedback from the first edition, and they want to come up with this, be a part of this second edition. And we set the bar really high last year, and we want to go higher. I mean, how high can you really get with something like this? How valuable is it to have children who are that inspired and empowered by us? What spoke very positively for us last year was the pictures people saw later on, the videos people saw later on, and the word of mouth which was spread later on. And of course, displacing the ambassador of Cameroon to Germany is not in every event he can go, but he saw the need to be there to strengthen the younger generation, and that had a lot of people talking about it. Now on to what I expect to achieve this year. I still want parents, the participants, to go home with that wealth of knowledge, like that mother who was talking to me. Return home with a wealth of knowledge to see how you can best assist your children. I mean, what is the point sitting on social media when your child's homework is not done? Something like that. But you might not be seeing it, but the kid will say on the panel, well, I would love to have my homework done at 7 p.m. Maybe on that time my mom is on the phone. So not wanting to criticize the parents, but wanting to strengthen the parents so that when they go back, they would have listened to their children, and the children will act like eye-openers to things which are happening at home, which from an adult perspective, they're not seeing. So return home with a wealth of knowledge about daily life and choosing your careers. And of course, also return home with knowing how to approach different situations in a household. Not all. I mean, our kids and their future cannot target every possible situation in a household, but give valuable advice. And of course, also return home with who and where to turn to if you have questions regarding your children's, career or professions in Germany. So that would be what is expected of our team this year.
Mira, you just explained something which sounds really interesting to me, and I'm going to prop in here. From my understanding, it looks like this conference is also aimed at helping kids, relate properly with their parents at home.
Exactly.
Now, are you going to kind of have an evaluation or a follow-up of how this is actually happening? The impact of this?
For that, I would probably need some camera hidden in the homes of those parents. So that I wouldn't be able to do. But, children are very honest people here, right. And just talking to them, you'll be able to get a lot of information out to that. What we are doing, Elise and I and the entire team, is we're making these kids our friends as well. So we're building children who will act as multipliers for us in this whole forum thing. Right. And we'll be talking to these children later on. So that will be an easy way of following up to see if there are changes in the home and as well. It's just to say bringing up a child is really, really difficult. It involves a lot of things, but sometimes we look at it like one kid said last year on the panel, we look at it from an adult's perspective instead of from their perspective, and that was quite touching. So we realized that if we have them talking with each other as well, sometimes it's easier for a child to pass on a message to another child than for an adult. They have their own words. They have the way they would do it. So it's just every situation, everything which has got to do with the upbringing of a child, but targeting education primarily. The main thing this year is just to see how much help now these children get when we talk about education from their parents. So that's pretty much what we're looking at.
Gentlemen and ladies, we can't stop saying that this is a very, very brilliant initiative, and I must applaud you for that. But before we run off this talk, Elise, one last word to potential guests at our kids and their future, number 2.
So, Ernest, I don't really have much to say of concern this because kids there's only one sentence I would love to say for this because I don't really find the exact word to place them. The only thing I'll say is we we love our kids, we care for their future, and if we really care for their future, then we should be there. Thanks.
We love our kids, we care for their future, and if we really do, then we should be there. Mira, we are running off. One last word.
Well, yeah, we love our kids. We care for their future. So on the 4th of July, 2015, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Geschwister Schollstrasse 20 in Dortmund, you can join us to talk about, what we can do best to make sure our kids are properly guided. Because if we can't prepare the future for the kids, then we can prepare at least the kids for their future, So, but I don't know if it's okay to dedicate a song, because really, when I think of the future of the children, if I say we can't prepare the future for them, but we can prepare them for the future, I would really love to dedicate a song if that's
Mira,
if
it's
that's
okay.
with you.
It's
All
okay.
right. So, well, I'd like to dedicate a song by Whitney Houston, When You Believe, because like I said, you can move mountains when you believe. And so we care for our kids. We love our kids, we care for their future, and I'll dedicate the song When You Believe by Whitney Houston.
Right.
So join us in Dortmund and let's shape the future of our kids together.
Let's shape the future of our kids together. If you can't prepare a future for your kids, then prepare your kids for their future. Miranda OBEN and Elise, thank you so much for joining us on this radio talk and informing us more about the second edition of Our Kids and Their Future, which is an annual conference that holds in Germany. And this year, like they have said, is taking place in the city of Dortmund. So thank you so much, and we wish you all the best in this edition of your conference.
Thank you for having us,
Sure.
Dennis. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks very much.
Thanks, and bye-bye.
Radio is your radio. Thanks for staying on board with us. You can always reach our studio at 614-525-9398. Again, the number is 614-525-9398. We thank you, and always remember,
Apex One Radio is your radio.